What is up, everyone? JD here. I hope you're all doing well today. Today, we're going to be doing a review slash overview of the Twosun TS191. Thank you, set to Dave. I appreciate you, brother, for sending this over. Very interesting grouping of knives that you sent over to me, so I'm so grateful that you're letting me check these out. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be going through specs, size comparisons, and thoughts and impressions from an overview perspective, and then any alternative recommendations if I have them. So let's go ahead and jump into the specs. The 191 has a 3.46 inch S90V blade. Very interesting blade steel. 4.92 inch titanium handles. Overall length 8.54 inches. I can see why Dave wanted to check this one out. This is closer to his wheelhouse of type of carry. He likes those big boys. And claim weight 5.4 ounces. Let's grab the scale. I'm going to check this out with you together at the same time. Coming in at 5, I didn't know for sure. It didn't even feel like it was 5 ounces. It definitely felt lighter, than what the claimed weight was. What we're going to go ahead and do next is we're going to go through some size comparisons real quick to give you an idea of the size of the knife. I know that I gave you the inches, but sometimes referencing other knives helps you understand the size. So first, we're going to go ahead and bring out the Demco AD 20.5. The other thing that I'll do when I get done with the length size is we'll do some profiles so you can get, again, not just the length, but how thick that is and what it'll be like in hand and in pocket. Next, we're going to grab the Spyderco Shaman. This is the big boy on the table, and as you can see here, the 191 is actually bigger than the Shaman. So again, hopefully this has helped to give you some perspective of the size of this particular knife. Let's go ahead and move these two out of the way, and we'll grab the next size comparison knives. That's going to be the Benchmade Bug Out. Very recognizable knife, as you can see here, just smaller overall. And then we'll bring out the SIG K320. This is made by Hogue. Again, 191, definitely bigger than both of these knives. Let's move these out of the way, and we'll bring out a set of budget knives to help you, again, with the size reference. First, the QB Royal. KU321, if you're looking it up and can't find it under Royal, this is my sub 3-inch knife comparison, and then we'll bring out the Buck 110, and I'm actually kind of curious to see if the 191 is actually longer than the Buck. The Buck is always longer than everything. Let's see here. I'm looking over the camera 1 second. Yeah, that looks about lined up. Yep, I think I give just a slight edge to the 191. It's just a hair longer than the Buck, so definitely longer. Again, Dave, I can totally understand why you wanted to check this one out. This is definitely, in my opinion, in your wheelhouse from a length perspective. Let's go ahead and do profile comparisons, see how thin or thick this knife is. So here it is against the QB Royal. And as you can see, the Royal's a little bit thicker. We're going to go ahead and do against the K320. K320 is definitely thicker, and we're going to do against the Shaman since this is a big knife. So right about even with the Shaman. I'd call that even. Good enough for me. All right, let's go ahead and jump into my thoughts and impressions. First and foremost, aesthetically, this is a really cool knife. It almost looks like a Persian. I know it is not a Persian. I think Persians kind of sweep up and away from the pivot. This is like dropping down and then leveling out. So I don't think it's quite a Persian. Can't remember for the life of me behind the camera what the blade style is called. I'll come back to it if it comes to me. But it does have a very nice tall swedge, which again I think lends to the aesthetics. And then you have a flat grind here. It gets pretty thin down behind the edge too, which I really do appreciate. Sharpening choil is pretty generous. You're about halfway. I'll have the light reflect there. Halfway back before you get a smile. So I feel like that's a good sharpening choil. You can definitely get a lot of sharpening out of there. As again, you can see it is S90V blade steel. The only thing about the satin, it looks good when it's cleaned up, but as soon as I start touching it, I have my fingerprints all over it again. I cleaned it up right before the video. I really like the handle on this. I think the carbon fiber looks really well. I do not see any voids. I've tried to look them over. Maybe right there, that might be a little bit of a void going on. Maybe right here. I don't know. Actually, nope. That's just the carbon fiber and how it's reflecting off the light there. So it's more how it's dented down in the weave. So it looks pretty good. It looks like it sits pretty flush. Maybe right here a little bit off. But I mean, that's pretty impressive. Twosun usually does a pretty good job with the carbon fiber. Now, the lock bar, which is very interesting, has 2 bolts holding it in. So it's got a very big insert, and they put 2 studs in there. To me, it kind of takes away from the aesthetics a little bit. I think just having one would actually clean it up a little bit better and look good. Nice small relief cut, and you have the milled titanium pocket clip. I don't like the ball type, but usually what happens when they're this thin, they kind of bend out, and then the ball type as opposed to the ramp usually end up kind of doing what I'm demonstrating there, getting just a little bit of stretch and that little bit of room to play. But the milling on the knife is really quite nice. It's very pleasant aesthetically, looks good. Again, this is the integrated backspacer. Each half has a backspacer built into it and then clamps down together, looking really well. The milling's really nicely on here, feels good. It's not overly aggressive. So when you have it in hand, it's nice. It's good contouring here. Let's see. I'd never actually checked to see. Does it have... Nope, flat scales. Oh, we got a little bit of writing in there. Twosun, it's upside down, so it's hard to read. But a little bit of pocket lint from being carried. I think that's kind of normal from any knife. But I mean, the weight for the size is really good. When you get it in hand, it feels really nice. I love this type of pocket clip. I believe the Brazen has something similar to this, where it has a little hole cut out. Again, just from an aesthetics perspective, looks good. It has nice jimping, really easy to light switch, comes flying out, ceramic bearings in the pivot. I believe they're nylon washers on these older models, but they're ceramic bearings. Work just fine, nice and centered. Has, again, really thin blade, good cutting geometry. This ramp actually works for a larger hand. Yeah, I kind of am jumping off a little bit with the larger hand, but it works pretty well. Otherwise, I'd be out here. Push cuts, you might get hung up a little bit on that sharpening tool, but I'd rather have it than not, and you can choke up. It's a little sharp because it does have the corners are not milled down. It's just a little sharp when you grab it like that, but it's not awful. Utility cuts are going to be, you know, it's not a utility cutter, but it does have a nice flat section to the blade for the push cuts. I wasn't finding I was slipping out when I took a box and broke it down for the recycling. I really wasn't cutting the cardboard much. This tip coming up, there's been a couple of times when I was going to mess with the knife, it actually kind of poked and I thought I was going to like stab or cut myself, but it really, you know, it's definitely sharp, so it's something you got to be careful of. But again, I like this because it is so different looking than everything else out there, but it's still done really tastefully, so it looks really, really good. The access to the lock bar is really good. You can get in there. It has just enough of a cutout to get to it really easy, regardless of how you're going to get that lock bar to disengage it. Let's see here. Tolerances are pretty good. Nice and tight, locked up. You do have a little bit of spacing on either side of the blade, just the way that it's done. When you get closer to the thicker part, it's tighter. And when you get down towards the tip, you have that gap there. So that's pretty normal for these. And what I'm going to be doing with this particular one, I don't know that I want to do any anodizing with it. I think it looks really clean like it is. What I do feel like the lock bar is a little light. And the reason I say that is because you can, when you situate yourself, you can just cause, I'm trying not to slide up the carbon fiber, you can cause it to fail just catching it lightly. So I think I would like to take advantage of doing another frame lock detent tune on this one. Satu Dave said it would be okay to do that. I think we're already sitting at about, sorry, I'm shaking here holding this. We're sitting at about 40% lockup. So it's not going to really do anything to harm the life of this lock bar insert. And I think I can get it tuned up pretty well. And we get a little bit of a cleaning maintenance video so you can see what it looks like from the inside. Alternative recommendations. I really like this knife. I have a feeling with the S90V, this is probably going to be more closer to a $300 knife. I apologize, I didn't look up the price. Shame on me. I would say your alternative recommendations, if you're looking for the American knives, are going to be the two that I brought out here. I really like these a lot. I think they're really cool, but you're not getting that very, you know, wild blade shape out of these. These are going to be actually better suited for work knives and utility knives and things of that nature. One other one that I do want to throw out here for a USA made knife that I think is a fantastic value that people overlook a lot is actually going to be the Ritter Hogue. You can get these with the Damascus, which gives it a little bit more pizzazz, a little bit more excitement. It's not just a plain Jane G10 handled knife, and you get in a really fantastic blade steel, even if you get the basic 20 CV one, and Hogue does a great job with their knives. Another alternative recommendation is going to be the Italian-made Ace Grand. I'm just trying to throw big knives down here because I'm thinking if you're interested in the 191 and you like big knives, these are going to be kind of some of the alternative recommendations that are getting you into that size. Granted, it's longer than all of them, but they're really, really good. For about around $200, another exciting brand is actually going to be the Kungwu. The Kungwu X-Tal, they're doing those in L-Max, which I really like. You're getting a full titanium handle. You're getting something that's probably close and similar weight. You can get the inset liner lock, frame lock, or you can get the X-Lock, which is just the same thing as a crossbar lock from any other knife, but it is very interesting in how it's built and styled. And they actually have a couple different models out there depending on how you want to get the knife as far as the stylings. They got some sheep's foot, some drop points, Warncliffe. I think they have a Warncliffe one too. I don't know. But that's it as far as alternative recommendations. Twosun's going to be pretty affordable, just as with any of these Chinese knives. I've had experience with Kaiser, who really didn't back the knife up. They just wanted to guess what the problem was with the knife and send me the parts. I've had experience with Civivi, who took about 4 to 6 weeks to get it back to me, but they had great communication. They stood behind it. You know, after getting a picture and video of what was wrong, they told me to send it to them, and they fixed it and sent it back to me. QSP, same thing. They just wanted a picture and a video, sent it to them, they sent it back to me. So they stand behind their products. So it's kind of hit or miss with these Chinese companies. That's why I do these other more known and established companies, because you're going to have a better warranty experience should something fail. It may not, it's a small percentage, but I always want to bring that to light when I talk about these knives. If you enjoyed today's video, if you could do me a favor, leave a like. If you're interested in seeing how that tune goes for the detent on this, make sure you're subscribed with the notifications turned on so you don't miss when that comes up. I'll also do a little bit of a cleanup here with this knife just so you can see how that goes as well. I appreciate all the support from everyone out there that has already subscribed. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. I appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.